What's up, heroes? My name is Clone, and welcome back to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Today, I am just taking a quick break from our adventures on Terrace. Just the thought of Karth watching me sleep has made me so uncomfortable. I just don't want to go back and talk to him right now while I figure out how I feel about this. So today, I'm going to go a little bit into more detail as to how combat works in the game. Combat is a very big part of the game, and there are different types of attacks that are in there. And someone in the comment section went, could you explain how these work in a little more detail? I'm not entirely sure which ones might be best for my character, so I certainly heard your voice out there in the comment section, and I wanted to put this video together to answer any of those questions that you have. So if we recall back from our character creation video not too long ago, I will put both video links in the description below. We covered there are two different types of weapons in the game. One would be your ranged weapons, which would cover underneath blaster rifles, pistols, heavy repeating blasters, anything that goes pew pew and fires from a distance. The next one would be our melee weapons, so anything that requires you to be up close and personal, such as a vibro sword or even a lightsaber. Now there are four different types of attacks. Each has a different name except for one which is kind of universal, and that one is your basic attack. Just your plain old vanilla attack where nothing special is added, no modifiers, nothing. Just depending on what your equipment you have or what your weapon is upgraded to will determine that attacking value. The other three attacks are your critical strike or your sniper shot, your power attack or your power blast, then your flurry or rapid shot. We'll get into those in here. I'm going to be using a previous character that I made, a soldier class here, because he's got everything unlocked with there. He's definitely going to be nice and perfect to be able to show what all of these do. So without further ado, I'm loaded into a fight right away. So let's take a look at what combat looks like right away. Okay. Sorry about that, my mouse was off screen there, wasn't expecting to go spinning around. So when you start combat, you'll see we have three boxes that were up here, and if you were watching any of the other videos, you would see that as well. This first one here on the left shows the type of attack you're going to select. Your middle box, right now in our preview with KOTOR, when we're on Terrace, it's blank for now, but later on that will be filled in with all of our force powers, and we can certainly touch on those a little bit later, along with this third box here, our grenades. Both the grenades and the force powers have a wide variety that do different things, and that's just so much to get into. We could certainly make that another video. If you want to see something like that, let me know in the comments below. Alright, so our first type of attack outside of that basic attack is going to be our critical strike. Critical strike, or our sniper shot if we're using a ranged weapon. This type of attack will double your chance of rolling a critical. Now, a critical hit normally requires a 20 to roll, and in being successful with that, it'll cause your opponent to be stunned for 6 seconds. By activating this feat, it now doubles your chance of getting a critical. So if you roll a 19 or a 20, you get that stun that goes off. When you put it into level 2, you now have a triple chance of getting that stun, so you need an 18, 19, or a 20. And finally, in rank 3, you have a quadruple chance of getting that, so a 17, 18, 19, or 20. Now, a 6-second stun is huge. I believe the game was saying there's a 3-second window for how combat works, so 3 seconds for your attack, 3 seconds for your opponent. So if on your first attack you stun that first 3 seconds, then that timer starts, you get another attack, and before that stun wears off, you could stun again, so that is crucial in all of this. However, it's important to note that by using a critical strike attack, even if you're unsuccessful, being unsuccessful just means normal damage is dealt and the stun is not put on there whatsoever, just as if you just went, oh, I just wanted to go attack and you failed your critical chance. You don't lose your attack move, you still do an attack. But being unsuccessful or successful lowers your defense by 5. That is huge, heroes. Huge, 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 huge. Because that defense rating determines how much damage you're able to shrug off if you're hit in combat. Sure, if you're using a ranged weapon and you have a high dexterity rating because that's all you plan on doing all game, then it might not be such of a big deal, but if someone does hit you, it's going to hurt a heck of a lot more. And that's super, super big. That means you have a bigger chance of dying with it. Personally, I don't really like this feat myself, because the chances of getting there and putting those feat points into those levels for that critical strike just doesn't seem worth the reward for me. Also, your opponent has a chance of negating the stun, because they then have to roll a difficulty check that uses their constitution pool that goes against your level and your attack modifiers. So say you're level 7 and you roll that critical strike on your opponent. They will have a chance of level 7 plus whatever modifiers you have. Say you have a 14 in your dex and your strength right away. That's a +2 modifier. So they have to roll above a 9 to shrug off that stun. So that's possible for them to do it. And it just doesn't seem worth it to me. The risk not being worth the reward just doesn't make sense. Not a big fan of it, personally. However, that's my opinion. I certainly encourage you to give this ability a try, especially if you're working one-on-one and doing a duel with another opponent. So in this case, fighting this Cathound that's right here, you certainly could. It's not going to hurt. But I wouldn't really waste your feat points putting into it if it's not something that was already gifted to you right off the start, because some classes will have this feat already programmed in there, just how it is. Next up, we're going to talk on our power attacks. Now, these power attacks, or the power blast if you're using ranged weapons, will add a +5 damage booster to your next attack. However, it's a -3 chance to hit. So basically, you're boosting your damage on your next hit, but reducing your chances to hit. So your attack is going to be so powerful, you can't really control where it's going. If you want a picture of it as watching, someone like me, I'm not very big, I'm not very strong, but if I wanted to take this big double-handed axe like something out of Skyrim, a Daedric Great Axe, Fus Rota that, and I go to pick up that axe and I need to swing it. I'm sitting back here while it's swinging backwards and I'm trying to swing it forward and I really can't control it. It's not as efficient to hit with that. The game recommends using that type of attack to take out small amounts of enemies that are kind of easy. So again, like this Cathound, this Horned Cathound, or just a normal Cathound, it would make sense to do something like that because they're real easy. You can take them down right away. They don't necessarily do a bunch of damage. There's not a lot of them gaining up on you. At level 2 of this feat, that damage goes up to 8. And at level 3, the damage modifier goes up to 10. So that certainly sounds like a lot of extra damage, and it really is. Level 3, a +10 damage roll, that's great. However, that -3 hit is still there, much like it is with the critical strike, and that is persistent throughout all of that. And again, I don't think that's really worth the reward. +10 attack, you could certainly use other items in the game to help boost that attack and just do a normal attack and still end up doing more damage. You want to be as combat efficient as possible, especially when dealing with larger groups of enemies, especially later on in the game, and you don't want to just waste your time and deal a bunch of damage, especially if you're low on med packs and you can't heal up. But again, I certainly encourage you guys at home to try this out, just to see how that might work. So a soldier character like this one right here, I might necessarily want to keep in power attacks and put all my points into that because strength's my thing. I want to take out more damage. I want to be stronger. I want to do something like that. I want to be that berserker that's up there and just straight up one-shotting people. But again, situational. Do experiment with it at home and see what you guys are thinking. Alright, then our next and final one is going to be our Flurry Attack for our melee weapons, or Rapid Shot as it's called for our range. This feat will allow you to make an extra attack for that turn. Each attack will do its own roll for damage as well. So you'll have different damage rolls. You could certainly do, say, 20 in one on your first attack and a 25 on your next one, or 25 in the first one and 20 on the next one. It's all calculated that way. But that also comes with the possibility of missing multiple attacks. You could drop down a Flurry Attack and miss both of them, just depending on how your strength roll goes against your opponent's dexterity. And it's good to note that a character using this will suffer a -4 to their defense for 3 seconds. So with this character right here, I have a defense rating of 22. If I used my Flurry Attack, it'll reduce that defense rating down to 18 for 3 seconds, and to all attacks that round as well, I will get a -4. So the defense rating, you kind of see that with everything except for our power attacks. But our power attacks are weakened by that chance to hit. You could certainly use, I really like the Flurry feat myself. You can partner that up with your two-handed weapons, so you can do 3 attacks in 1 turn. Sadly, it doesn't allow you to double up on your extra attack hand. Just otherwise, that feat would be incredibly overpowered, and it has to be balanced somehow, to be honest. If you don't have balance within a game, you could easily just walk through it and break it and go through combat without ever being touched. And much like with our other stats as well, you can level them up to a rank of 3. At level 2, that defense and attack drop rating goes down to is increased to be 2. So instead of having 4, it's now 2. And at level 3, it's 1. To me, that just makes more sense. At the end there, once it's all maxed out, you really don't have much of a penalty for using a Flurry Attack, and that's a free attack, not having to wait for it. So that personally really works for me. So let's take a real quick look at how things work here. So I'm going to drop my Flurry Attack. As you see, I have this little bar that's down here that comes up. This is, in a sense, your queue for attacks. So you can queue up a Flurry Attack, a power attack, a basic attack, a critical strike, depending on what you want to do. I can set it here to be all Flurry Attacks, or I can clear it out and mix and match. As you saw, I can only have a total number of 4 attacks queued up at a time. But you could certainly change them. So like right now, I can certainly do so. Cancel out, don't have to worry about it, or I can disengage from combat, turn tail, and run. But in this case, we're not going to. This asswad dick whistle ain't afraid of no fight, ever. So we're going to do that Flurry Attack right away. I'm going to unpause the combat. So you see, I just had 2 attacks for 12 and 11 for a total of 23. If we take a look then, my defense rating has now dropped to 18. And it's going to be like that for 3 seconds, and it'll persist that way throughout the fight. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this guy off by just using my basic attacks. Clear out my Flurry Attack, and just kind of basic attack this guy. So he's going to go ahead and attack. I'm going to attack again. Try to finish him off. Takes a few turns. I'm not really taking much damage. Not really concerned. My dexterity rating is quite a bit higher than his attack rating. So by now, our defense rating's gone back up to 22. That 4 seconds has taken its time out. Or 3 seconds, I'm sorry. We're good to go. Let's go find another opponent. There should be another Horned Cathound right along here. We're going to try to do a critical strike on this guy. So he's going to come up. So I missed my critical strike. But I land my power attack. We'll see if we can get him to do a stun here. So I get that stun. It does it at 15. I'm not entirely sure why it did there, but we got that chance. We were successful for it. Not going to argue with it. So now I have that chance while he's stunned to do tons of damage. So I'm going to put out my power attack. Get that basic attack through and do my power attack. And he's down. We're successful once again. So those are just all those attacks there in a nutshell. And like I said, with grenades and the force powers, there are just so many of them that have their own diversity to them. I can't go into too much detail with them. Otherwise, it'll be such a long video, and I'm not going to waste your guys' time. I want to do something special with that. If that's something you'd like to see, if it is, certainly let me know in the comments below. And if you have any other tips and tricks videos that you'd like to see me do and kind of cover for you guys, let me know as well. Otherwise, that is it for this video. You are now ready to go out into a galaxy far, far away and wreck some face and be prepared for anything that comes your way in combat. And if you did like this video, hit the like button there at the bottom. I certainly do appreciate any and all support you guys give me. If you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be doing a bunch more KOTOR gameplays. I'm sorry, I can't speak today. I'm going to be doing some more KOTOR KOTOR. Did it again. Try it one more time. Some more KOTOR gameplays here for you. We're going to leave off where we were on Terrace. I do suggest checking that out as well, just to kind of see how things have gone so far. Getting to that point where I'm kind of getting over the whole Karth staring at me while I sleep sort of thing. So we're going to give that another go and try to get our way off of Terrace and find who we are searching for on there. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and you heroes stay classy out there. And remember, save the cheerleader, save the world. Siloclone signing out.